Ladies and gentlemen, it is the calm before the championship. That's right. It's week 17. It's time to decide in most leagues who is going to be the last man or woman standing in your fantasy football league. It might be the semifinals. In that case, go talk to your commissioner and bribe them with some goodies or whatever you have to get your championship out of week 18, because week 18 does not matter. Anyway, I am Kevin Tompkins, of course, with Mr. Gary Haddow, with Britt, Flinn. It is the calm before the storm. Britt and Gary, how are we doing this morning?
Good morning. Let's go. Championship week.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as enthusiastic because I'm super nervous. I always get nervous during championship week. And there will probably be lots of booze throughout this day today.
So glad
I'm ready to take some W's, some big fat gigantic W's, but you know everybody takes L's. It's gonna happen. We want more of those squiggly W's more than those L's. I just did that backwards because you know it's live streaming and it's whatever. But yeah, so you know we're gonna help you get you there to more of those squiggly W's. And let's talk about some injuries first. Some of those weird eyes, questionable for week 17. Of course, we have some injuries. It's going to happen, but we're going to help you navigate all these fun players, these players that might have gotten you here, but now, unfortunately, got to make some decisions here. So Justin Fields not going to be starting. The immortal Red Rocket Andy Dalton will be starting for the Chicago Bears in the lowest over-under of the slate, 37 points. So that is not fun for really if you have Cole Kmet. That actually might help him a little bit with Andy Dalton. If you have, it probably helps David Montgomery more than anybody having Justin Fields in there. So, Monty's like a top 5 running back for me, against the Giants. I really like him, in a game that probably won't have a lot of plays. I don't know if we really need to talk about the Giants and Bears anymore because it's kind of making me physically ill. Yeah. So let's talk about a couple of Patriots. Damian Harris, hamstring, but is expected to be good, as well as Mr. Jacoby Myers. Mr. I actually scored a touchdown this season. Just one receiving touchdown. With a thigh injury, like I said, both limited all week, but both should play. Mike Evans with a hamstring. Antonio Brown with an ankle. We will get some clarity on these because they are in the early slate. We'll get some answers starting in about 25 minutes or so. So that's certainly 2 pivotal guys that, you know, will certainly swing the tide in your fantasy championships, especially Brown. You know, with his ankle, he was very target dominant last week when he was the almost only show in town and Gronk didn't do anything. Curtis Samuel, he didn't really matter this year. It was a weird year for the guys that got big contracts. They were either all hurt or just kind of bad this season. Jordan Howard with a neck injury, a game time decision as well. So as far as these questionable tags, I mean, I would say we're all looking to that Tampa Jets as a matchup we were targeting. Even in the off season, going into the season when the schedule is released, as you know, you want Tampa Bay Buccaneers especially going up against the Jets, who we all thought was going to be terrible, and have proven that very correctly. But how are we feeling about Antonio Brown if he goes? If both go, Evans and Brown for their fantasy prospects today?
I think you have to play them, but I don't feel great as far as the ceiling goes because the spread is so high in that game. I think it's going to be a really run dominant and run heavy game. So, I mean, they'll probably reach their projections, but I mean, they're not going to have like a T. Higgins game like last week, you know? So it's kind of capped.
I like Brown more than Evans, assuming that both are playing. I just think that he'll get more of the targets and whatnot. And Evans, I think it's a hamstring, right? Like, I would just assume that he may just have one of those Mike Evans-esque 1-for-1 kind of stat lines at the end. I do believe that he's shy of 1,000 yards. And so that's probably something they're going to want to try and get going. But I just don't know if you risk it this week when you don't need to.
Well, and Antonio Brown has those incentives coming up. So you know that Brady's going to try to get him his incentives over Evans possibly too.
Yeah, that's very fair. And if there's one NFL coach that actually cares about like player incentives and them reaching them, it's Bruce Arians in Tampa Bay. So, I mean, that's actually a narrative you can kind of play in there. I think they're going to try to get these this for Antonio Brown. If he's playing, he's in there, they're going to make every attempt. So I really like Antonio Brown. I think he's if he's playing, he's a top 12 play for me. Evans a little bit lower on the totem pole. I mean, Antonio Brown has been, when he's been healthy, he hasn't run the same route share as Godwin or Evans when Godwin was healthy, but Antonio Brown on a per snap basis has been the elite. He is Antonio Brown that we knew in Pittsburgh, basically, as far as his targets per route run. He is right up there with guys like AJ Brown when he's been healthy, about that 33% range, which is there. And to give you some context, Devontae Adams was 30% targets per route run last year in his awesome season, and anybody to go over that with extended work is just almost transcendent. Cooper Kupp's not even up there. So that should tell you how insane he's been this year when he has been in. Let's go over to some of the players that are questionable, but in the late window here, I'm starting to talk with Scott Hansen because Red Zone has consumed my mind. James Conner with a heel injury, limited all week, is expected to play. We'll hopefully get some more clarity on that before, because I know that is a tough decision. Not just for everybody else, but for Britt, for myself as well, in leagues. Let's talk about also Lamar Jackson with an ankle. I think they're going to err on the side of caution here. It looks like Tyler Huntley's going to go there. Marquise Brown with an illness. Neither of them practiced on Friday, so that's going to be a situation to monitor. Let's see. Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon, both hurt, both limited on Friday, both expected to play. Courtland Sutton with an illness. You're not really touching him in a lot of leagues, but he is almost the last man standing there in Denver, where they've had a rash of guys going on the COVID list. And then going down the list as far as guys that probably should be in your lineup if they are healthy. Elijah Mitchell expected to play with a knee injury. So he will probably be the dominant, guy getting all the touches there, getting most of them in San Francisco. So anybody we want to talk about, those guys that we mentioned, as far as any more notes on either the Baltimore guys, Denver running backs, Elijah Mitchell? I mean, I know Gary, wants to get in front of a microphone and talk about his homers. So
I would expect that Mitchell is one of the most asked about guys this year, this week. That's kind of up there, as I say that
this year too.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I can see like the different narratives, right? Like, how's this game going to go? The Texans are like a feisty offense, so it's really confusing to figure out what they're going to do, because they keep putting up numbers against teams they shouldn't, and hopefully that doesn't happen this week. But Mitchell coming off this knee, I mean, and if the Niners have this game in hand, why wouldn't they just start ceding some of the work to Jeff Wilson? They have a game against the Rams. I mean, the Niners need to win both games to at least win one of the two to ensure they're in the playoffs. They're not like locked in by any means. So I really like Mitchell. I do also like Jeff Wilson, but it is a decision you have to make on what the narrative you feel like for this game is going to be. Because if it's a close game, Mitchell's going to get all the touches.
Yeah, but the spread's like 12.5. So is Vegas wrong, or are they going to be right? If Vegas is right, then you're right, Gary. But it's such a tough question. I don't feel great about starting Mitchell if you have somebody better, just because of that game script thing. And we talked about it in the beginning of the year, the Shanahan backfield. You just never really know who's going to get all the touches. And in championship week, I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, this is the time of year where like those Craig Reynolds type guys, those Jonathan Williams for Buffalo in week 17 last season. Those guys pop out of nowhere, and the only people on them are those super haven't gotten any sleep DFS guys or guys and gals who just are absolutely insane, and their ears are totally in the ground and all this stuff. So we never know what's going to happen. I think, Elijah Mitchell certainly has the opportunity to do that in this game. But yeah, Houston's been pretty lucky. So I wouldn't be surprised if Houston made it some sort of a game. Davis Mills has been a lot better lately. Last 3, certainly passing the ball. So, I mean, Brandon Cooks is back. It's they funnel toward the pass. They want to stop the run of Houston. So they could make that more of a game than, anybody really wants them to. So, fully on board there with the Houston could be more plucky train. People that are out, and by the way, great sign that we have a lot of questions here, a lot of people making their championships or their semifinals. So we'll get to those in just a minute here. Players that are doubtful or out. Some of the usual suspects like Darren Waller, kind of a lost season that hurts me personally, not gonna lie. Manuel Sanders with a knee, not expected to play. James O'Shaughnessy with a hip. Clyde Edwards-Helaire with a shoulder injury will be out. So fire up your Darrell Williams. The mentor gets to ride in my championship lineup this week. And he probably should be riding in your championship lineup as well. Nelson Aguilar with concussion. Mark Ingram for the Saints with a knee injury. Every single New York Giants wide receiver known to man except for Kenny Galladay is out today. So fire up your I'm not even firing up Kenny Galladay today, not gonna lie. Not that I haven't, but if I did, I wouldn't be. Elijah Moore, Jameson Crowder, both Crowder's doubtful, probably not going to be going with that calf injury. Tevin Coleman for the Jets. Miles Sanders with a broken hand. That I would say that would be more of a split between us if Jordan Howard goes, and Boston Scott probably could find some Kenny Gainwell in there. Gary, you look like you want to pipe in.
So if Howard sits, let's just say that he does, or that they limit him, like how high is Boston Scott for you in your running back rankings? Let's just do like half PPR, I guess. Is he top 20?
Borderline, but probably, yeah. I mean, just based on volume, he kind of has to be. Okay. Yeah. But who else are they activating too?
So it'd be, assuming it'd be Gainwell and then Boston Scott but Howard's going to play. I think a lot of people have Boston Scott on that they picked up in hoping, and then they are now deciding like, what the hell is he flex worthy? I don't know. It's confusing.
Well, I think Brian Drake brought this up as the resident Philly fan. He said that Jordan Howard suffered the same injury either last year or the year before, and that this same injury kept him out for 6 weeks. And so, according to him, he's pretty, convinced that Howard isn't going to go. And so that kind of bumps Scott up a little bit more in my rankings and my confidence level too. So.
Yeah, I think he's firmly in that. With Jordan Howard there, he's kind of in that Dare Gumbawale range for me. Not quite, but the only other thing that he has going for him is just the absolute volume that's there for Philly running back. So obviously that's going to be there much more than the Jacksonville's. Boston Scott has shown that he can at least produce, and they're going up against Washington team that's kind of swirling the drain right now. And has been for the last few weeks. So, I think that's a feather in their cap. They're going to want to limit plays. They're going to want to, kind of not drag this game out with the pass. So probably could see some more Hurts opportunities too, to kind of keep those guys fresher, I guess, for lack of a better term. So, that's T's and P's from Miles Sanders. I'll just say that. Tennessee, Julio Jones, COVID list. Washington's Antonio Gibson, COVID, which is a very interesting situation because we saw Jarrett Patterson and Jonathan Williams, the aforementioned Jonathan Williams, sneak in there. No, Jarrett Patterson did not. When he came, they both came in for Gibson. Patterson did not play 1/3 down snap the entire time. That was pretty much Jonathan Williams soaking up almost 50% of the routes in his stead. So I like Jonathan Williams much more than Jared Patterson today. I think Jared Patterson is a 2-down grinder. And on a team that has one of the lowest implied totals of the slate, I think they're at about 18.5 points. On a team that Heineke has not been great. The entire offensive environment has not been great. If there's anybody that's going to, I don't want to say thrive, but can be a sneaky ad and put up points, I think it's going to be Jonathan Williams today, much more so than Jared Patterson. What do you guys think?
I'm so on that train. I actually talked about it on Twitter a little bit yesterday that, I mean, exact same thing that you said. I'm higher on Williams than I am on Patterson. I also think that Jonathan Williams has that veteran capability and presence, and he's been in the league for, 5 or so years-ish, maybe. But in a playoff situation, potentially, trying to keep Philadelphia out of it, I don't think that Washington really wants to put all their hopes and dreams on a rookie. And Rivera is not that type of coach. So,
yeah, fair, very fair. Gary, anything?
I just feel the same. You convinced me to do Williams over Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, the announcers last week were talking about Jared Patterson as they're calling him Darren Sproles, except that the only thing that is Sproles about him is like his height. He doesn't really catch passes. I mean, he is literally like just the perfect 2-down grinder, but he's got that low center of gravity, and defenders can't find him through the line, blah 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 blah. But yeah, I mean, we saw Williams last year for Buffalo just absolutely torch in week 17, and that's not really a narrative, but the narrative is he's out there on 3rd downs, he's out there catching passes, and as we know, targets are worth more in fantasy than carries. So that's what I'm looking to. I'd rather have a guy that's getting 5 targets than 10 carries. So, that's where I stand there. And the guys that are out for the late and island games, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, both out with COVID. So again, your Denver wide receivers, it's kind of gross anyway with Sutton, and Sutton's also banged up. So, Jared Goff seeds the way for Mr. Tim Boyle to get another start there. He is doubtful with a knee injury. So if you're into that, if you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, don't think you're really sweating Tim Boyle like you were last week, but I think you still have some concern there. I mean, I don't think that just goes away with a backup quarterback. I feel like, the other shoe's going to get either closer to dropping or is going to drop, I feel like. Jared Cook, COVID, Donald Parham's already on IR. So sneaky tight end, Steven Anderson for the Chargers. Don't mind that as a punt play in DFS. That could be somewhat fruitful, though I do think Josh Palmer is going to reap a lot of those benefits today. And then Kirk Cousins. I don't think that anybody was really could see this one coming. Yeah, so Sean Mannion's going to get that start in Green Bay. It's going to be very cold. Backup quarterback going into Lambeau, Sunday Night Football. That's a recipe for Green Bay being the number 1 defense this week, at least for me.
Yeah, so I kind of got some shit on Twitter about this, but I was like, Justin Jefferson in week 17 is where the start your studs philosophy goes wrong, because the weather is going to be 5 degrees, like 5
American degrees
without wind chill, without anything else.
Right. And yeah, wind chill is supposed to be in the negatives. And then you have Sean Mannion, who has thrown, I believe, 74 passes, 0 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions in his career is the stat line for him. I don't feel good about this at all. And man, bless you if you have Justin Jefferson and don't have anybody else to play over him, because it's not going to be good.
T's and P's.
Yeah.
Tease and those little baby peas.
If he does anything like 660 and a touchdown and he's on your bench and you lose, I just like those are the like to me the start your studs isn't about like these guys are going to show up. It's can you live with yourself? Well, you know what I mean. Can you like move on from this if you lose with them on your bench? And I mean, that's a very personal decision that involves a lot of vodka or whiskey at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, start your stud. I mean, the biggest start your stud. I mean, where are we tossing in Justin Jefferson here? Because that's, I mean, I've pretty much got it to where I've not been able to recommend KJ Osborne, Tyler Conklin. I mean, I think that those are pretty locked in. But if you have Justin Jefferson and he got you, he's a top 5 receiver in fantasy. He got you here. I mean, to pivot off of him takes some. To take namesake from Brad Evans, take some huevos. So,
yeah, yep. But it's all about who you have and your matchups and who your opponent has and things like that. You know, how big of a cushion do you have? Are you projected higher? Like, there's so many factors that go into it. So, in the abstract, you can't answer that. You've got to take the entirety of the situation before you answer that question.
I'm going to still start Justin Jefferson for one specific reason. Ian Book threw for 135 yards on 12 attempts with 2 interceptions. And Humphrey got 3 for 70. Marquez Callaway got 4 for 46. Jefferson is so much better than those guys, as we all know. And Ian Book is at best as good as Sean Mannion, probably. So I think context matters that, like, crappy quarterbacks still have to throw the ball. Like, he's not going to throw for 7 yards. I mean, that'd be awesome just to see it. But
yeah, they got lucky that Jair Alexander is not going to play. So
totally,
yeah. If Jair Alexander is playing, I mean, I will say this: he's actually lucky that Adam Thielen isn't playing, because Adam Thielen has absolutely owned like Jair Alexander wears Adam Thielen pajamas. That's how bad it's been. Like, if there's like kryptonite, it's Adam Thielen for Jair Alexander. But yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be a great matchup to come off of injury anyway. But I mean, Alexander's like a top 3 corner in the league, so it's tough. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that's a recipe for. I mean, right now, some context: it is -15 in Fargo right now, and that's not including wind chill. So
T's and P's to you, Kevin.
It's okay. I got some heat. We're all good. I do not live in an igloo. We do not live in igloos here in North Dakota, despite what people may say.
Just want to throw in 2 things before I'm pretty sure we're going to transition to questions. AB
we
and
sure
Evans,
are.
They are active. Somehow Jamal Dean and Sean Murphy Bunting are. I thought maybe they were COVID though. And then Manny Sanders is inactive, and Matt Breida, the weirdest season of all, also inactive. And Justin Fields is actually inactive.
Oh,
yeah, that was
Lamar. Tyler Huntley, fire him up.
That's what I'm doing in Polly's playoff, because I had to pivot off of Taylor Heineke. So Tyler Huntley season. Let's go. Yeah, let's answer some questions, shall we? Because we got a laundry list of questions here from our beautiful people here. And Gary wanted to sneak in and get the first one in. It looks like. Oh, sorry, from Lucas. PPR Harris. Oh, there's a lot. Got to pick 7. Why not just get rid of 1?
The difficulty was like a bunch of them were questionable when he and I were talking about this. It's his league. So let me just say this.
Eliminate 1.
So Damian, Mitchell, Javonte, Higgins, Pittman, and Davis are pretty much all there. So let's just go with Boston Scott or Tyler Boyd.
I would play Scott over Boyd, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Boyd's out. Boyd, I mean, the target volume for him is spotty enough. You've got 2 other guys to contend with in Chase and Higgins. Granted, I think that game has the highest over-under, or second highest, next to Arizona, Dallas. But I think there's going to be volume there. I just don't know if Boyd gets over the hump for like anything more than like 5 for 50.
Yep. Agreed.
So, and that's something to consider too, because he's got the way higher floor. I mean, as Britt said, it depends on context. So if you need points, if you need upside, I would probably go with Boston Scott. But I think for a floor, if you've got these guys that probably have high enough floors, especially guys like Pittman, guys like Higgins, guys like Harris, with Ramondre not playing, it's Boyd. It's Boyd for me.
Okay, which is segues into Anthony's question.
Yep. Tyler Boyd and sit Justin Jefferson with QB and weather issues. I don't know if I would sit Jefferson for. I would sit Jefferson for a lot of guys. I just don't know if I'd go that low to sit Justin Jefferson. So I think I'm still playing him today over Tyler Boyd.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm contradicting myself here, but with the volume and the game script situation that Minnesota is going to be going into, Jefferson's going to get those targets, whereas Boyd's competing with Chase, with Higgins, with even Uzama, with Mixon here and there. So we're going to go back to this context thing the entire day, but do you need upside? Do you need floor? But I think Jefferson provides both in this situation. So I'm going to go with him.
Bada bing, bada boom. A lot of Tyler Boyd questions. This is Calm Before the Storm, sponsored by Tyler Boyd this morning. Tyler Boyd, KJ Osborne, Chase Claypool for wide receiver 2 in standard. Our good friend Axel Jansen.
Can I give my my normal, which is Boyd is going to be your floor, Chase is going to be your upside play, but I think in this situation, because Claypool and Osborne are kind of there, I'm going to go with Boyd and just see what happens and hope that there's a shootout.
Yeah, and if Cincinnati attacks the slot and Daniel Sorensen, that's where you attack their pass defense. So I could see Boyd getting a little bit more. And out of these three, I'm just so curious because it's Ben's last game against the Browns. And I'm like, is he just going to go out slinging? That's the only thing that's making it a little tough for me. But in those situations, I use the over under as the tiebreaker. And in that case, it's Boyd.
Yeah, I'd probably go Boyd here too. And it's funny because Tyler Boyd has been in a role like the last few weeks and probably the last half of the season where this is kind of uncharted territory for him as far as ADOT. Usually he's like that shorter ADOT kind of slot guy, but last few weeks, he 14.3, 12.1, 10, 9.2. Like, this is kind of uncharted for him. He's scored long touchdowns. That's why he's been more spotty than we've usually been. He's not like that target dominant, he doesn't have to be. That's the thing. So he's kind of playing a little bit of a different role, but that's leads into his spottiness. So I would still start him. I think you certainly have that capability for that long touchdown from Tyler Boyd, which we kind of lucked into that with the target dominant stuff in his career without Higgins, without Chase. But yeah, Claypool is a little too gross for me right now, and I understand the whole Ben Roethlisberger going out slinging mentality. KJ Osborne, I'm hands off just because of Sean Mannion. But yeah, give me Tyler Boyd. We're not a sponsor of Tyler Boyd, though. If you want to be, please hit me up in the DMs. Boston Scott or Tony Pollard.
Dude, why are you even asking this?
Yeah, that's not close.
Come on, Sellers.
Come on, it's Pollard. Just kidding. It's Boston. It's Boston.
Is it though?
Yeah.
No, it is.
I think so.
I tried to use my biases to I wanted to skew myself and see if I'd really land there. Did not. I'd still go Boston Scott here. Though Tony Pollard, you saw it enough. It just
his floor, his ceiling is just so much lower than Scott's is in this game.
I think bless you, Gary. I think I caught that. Yeah, I liken some guys to the trash compactor in the Star Wars where the floor is rising, but the ceiling is lower. That's pretty much like Jarvis Landry's career, where like it's like, okay, your floor is super high, but your ceiling is like there too. That's pretty much like Tony Pollard, if he doesn't score a touchdown. I mean, the dude is always good for like 3 catches for like 20 yards and then like a handful of runs. Dude needs a neutral game script throughout to hit, or he just needs just absolute lockdown on the receivers and just working him. So yeah, Boston Scott, I'll shut up. Cowboys defense or Chicago Bears. I don't know. I mean, Dallas's defense has been awesome the entire year, but Chicago's also playing a ghost ship in the New York Giants with a backup quarterback with like no receivers that is pretty much given up. I got to go Chicago. Low over under 2.
Yeah, we've been arguing about this all week long, just kind of pivoting back and forth because one of our friends has a team and she was just trying to decide between the Cowboys defense or the Bears, and he was too. And the Cowboys defense can give you the points for the turnovers, but I think if you want, again, a safer floor, a more secure kind of situation, this matchup against the Giants is almost guaranteed to pay off for you. So,
all right, then works for me. And then let's keep going with the defense questions. Eagles, Packers, or Browns for defense. The Packers are my top defense with the Sean Mannion stuff. I mean, I think the Eagles are still a really good play against Washington. A lot of good defense as far as like plays this week, which is good because there's a number of them out there. And you're only really competing with up to 4 people in most league formats for these. So there's usually going to be a defense out there to play. Cleveland, I mean, Pittsburgh, wouldn't touch that. Eagles, it's a good play, but a lesser play. Green Bay, like I said, number 1 defense for me. Fire them up.
Yep, I think you're absolutely correct.
All right, Devonta Smith, Michael Pittman, Mooney, Gabe Davis, pick 2. I'm guessing this is DFS.
No, I think it's a flex. Maybe. I think if it's the league that I'm thinking of. Might be actually season long.
I think I'd have to go just Pittman here, just based on volume and based on like Indiana. I mean, the Raiders aren't exactly a world beater on defense. If there's anybody in Indianapolis that can be target dominant, it's Michael Pittman more than anybody, and we've seen that time and time again with them. So it's got to be Pittman. If he's going to do anything outside of like Jonathan Taylor, he's good for almost double-digit targets. I mean, he's almost a lock for that each week when he's not getting ejected. So,
and pick 2.
That was BS.
It was BS. No, I agree.
It's pick 2. So Smith, Mooney, Davis.
God, I wanted that. Gut told me Davis. I don't even know about that. I'd probably go Devonta Smith here.
I'm going Davis.
I think he's going to build off last week. I mean, he's been kind of lying in the weeds a little bit, but it's a gut for me, but because it's close between all 3 of those, I would go Devonta Smith.
Literally just benched Devonta in a league after looking at his points and just was like, if he doesn't get that touchdown, which he hasn't had in a bit, his floor is so low. And do we expect this to be a competitive game when we say that the Eagles defense is a great start, that they're going to be running the hell out of the ball? I'm moving away from Devonta. They don't need him to win.
But I mean, in that same token, the Buffalo over-under is so big. Like that kind of makes me pivot off Davis as well.
But Buffalo doesn't take their foot off the gas. They don't care.
And that's another point too, is that the Eagles are kind of spotty as far as who they want to play against. Philadelphia, they're not world beaters by any stretch of imagination. I mean, Who knows? I mean, this could be one of those kind of gross, more scoring than we all thought. That they just can't get a lot going in the run game. It's only going to be two guys if anybody does anything. It's going to be either Goddard or it's going to be Devonta Smith. I'll go with the talent and I'll go with Devonta Smith. But it's a toss up for me between him and Davis. But then I look and see that Buffalo has all these guys competing for targets, all these guys competing for looks. So I think it's a path of least resistance for me for Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I'm gonna opt out of this question just so I can live with myself and in my house after whatever result.
Yeah, you're gonna opt out. I mean, it's Matt Corral should have done that. But anyway.
Oh,
that was bad. Sorry. That was terrible. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. That was horrible, by the way.
It was awful. I'm
at least glad to see this X-ray was negative, but yeah, it's tough scene. Anyway, let's move on from that. Trey Lance or Carson Wentz. It's the Trey Lance train has been running all week on Twitter.
I think that this is actually season long too, and not DFS. I was going to say if it was DFS, Lance is going to be the chalkiest of the chalk at 4,800. Yep. But I think that this is season long. That makes it a little different. Like Wentz, I just think how you attack the Raiders is running it down their throats. And who do the Colts have? The best running back in the league currently, and they would be stupid to not utilize him that way. A couple weeks ago, I think Wentz only threw 6 times or something like that. It was crazy low volume and they just ran JT the entire time. I'm a little bit worried that they're going to do the same this week, especially with Wentz just coming off COVID. And we've seen, Allen Robinson said he lost 10 pounds. Lockett said that he lost like 8 and that he felt terrible. Tyreek Hill said that he was winded last week. Everybody fired him up when he came back and he didn't do anything. So that combination of things just makes me really hesitant to play Wentz. But I mean, with Lance, it's the same token. We haven't really seen him do anything. What's he going to do? But Lance edges out Wentz for me because of his rushing upside. So
I'm going with Lance. Wentz's downside is too low. His floor is too low. Lance, at least we know, has a floor with rushing, but honestly, we haven't even seen him rush the way that we expected him to. He didn't have Kittle the first game. That's going to be a huge difference maker. It's Lance.
Yeah, when Carson Wentz is absolutely way too dependent on Michael Pittman hitting his ceiling game for him to at least put up usable passing lines, especially in fantasy. So, I mean, just for that alone, I would have to go Trey Lance. I don't think that, they're not going to be leaning on anybody but him in the passing game. They won't have Doyle. It's going to be a Mo Alley Cox, and he's not a target dominant kind of guy anyway. T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal. I mean, none of those names strike fear into anybody. Not that really Michael Pittman does, but at least if they're going to go to somebody, it's going to go to him. And if they don't get him on if he's inefficient getting the ball to Michael Pittman, you're looking at one of those 180, 190 passing yard type games. And that's probably what they get if Jonathan Taylor is running, wild, or at least running effectively against the Raiders. So
hopefully he doesn't.
Yeah. Trey Lance, ride the wave. Cordell Patterson, James Conner, or Jarrett Patterson for RB3 and standard. I'm immediately eliminating Jarrett Patterson for reasons we talked about. Cordell Patterson, it's a bold strategy, Cotton, to take your wide receiver turn running back, use him in the passing game for 12 weeks, and then stop using him in the passing game for the next 4. It's bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him. James Conner is playing. If he is, it's got to be him. Though you're making that decision now because the Falcons are playing at 1:00 or at noon, 1:00, whatever the early slate. It's tough. I think I might go Patterson.
Yeah, I'm really worried about Connor.
Sorry,
Whether-
Cordero Patterson. I realized we had two Pattersons in there.
Yes. I think that Arizona's left tackle, I believe, is out with COVID. So they lost a key piece of their line who's going to be lined up with Randy Gregory. Connor's coming off the injury. He's still questionable. I benched him personally in one of my leagues, so I've got to go Patterson too.
Did you guys know that the Falcons might make the playoffs? They would have to beat the Bills. It's not going to happen. They'd have to beat the Saints. Could easily happen. But like, I was looking at the standings before and just like, man, both conferences are crazy tight. But the fact that the Falcons are even in that conversation, considering what we think of the season that they've had, is crazy.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go parity.
And I will Axel. For Axel, like I have had this Cordero debate. I've been with these guys literally all week. I feel like I text them twice a day, pivoting from between Melvin Gordon, Cordero, even Derek Gore. I was thinking about every time. I just can't help but come back to Cordero Patterson. He has been bad against easy teams, but if you look, he was actually good against hard teams. And if they're not going to be able to run the ball, I think that they will figure out ways to use him. And we know that the Bills should be stout against Kyle Pitts. And so then if they can take him out, which I know is not a typical tight end, like I think they'll use Cordero and Gage to move the ball if they can.
Yeah, fake offensive genius Arthur Smith needs to pull a rabbit out of his what to get Cordero Patterson going. But I think despite his best efforts to keep him under wraps, I think Cordero Patterson at least scored a touchdown today. So yeah. I'm gonna go to Twitter for this one because it just popped up from Doug Fermaniak, who is one of the top. I think he's in the top 10 of the Lightning Round Best Ball Challenge. Threw in a question for us on Twitter. Happy New Year, my friend. Need to help me win a championship. Duke Johnson, Boston Scott, Chuba Hubbard, Isaiah McKenzie, or Beasley. I think I'm gonna go here. Boston and Bees.
Yeah, yep. Double Bees.
Yep. Yeah. I'm in exact agreement.
Beasley and Boston for all three of us. I think that was pretty unanimous.
I'm gonna take Chubb's question just because he and I are texting about it and he has additional info for it. So
shove it up.
So for pick 2, Kev, is this PPR or half? I'm pretty sure it's PPR if it's the league. I think it is. So it's gonna be Keyshawn Vaughn, Derek Gore, Jarrett Patterson, Chase Claypool, Tyler Boyd. Got to pick 2, but there's also Dare, Boston, and Jonathan Williams on waivers, and he could pick up any of those 3, which I actually like some of those more than these guys. It's PPR.
I would say pick up Boston over Patterson for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dare, I'm totally out on.
Yep.
The Lightning Round show on Wednesday, I went off about why I don't like him, and I think that he's a trap and could lose you a championship rather than win it for you. And this is a controversial take, but I really kind of like Vaughn this week, and that's who I'm playing in that league where I benched Connor. I'm playing Vaughn over him because I think that Tampa has such a positive game script that they're just going to run. And it's not all going to be Rojo. And, Arians came out and said like, yeah, Vaughn showed that he's more than just a 3 down or a 3rd down back, blah, 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 blah. And I hope that it's not coach speak, but I'm really high on Vaughn this week. So that's my pick, Vaughn and Scott.
Yeah, I would take Boston Scott over Patterson for sure, over Gore. It's tough. Is it PPR?
Yeah.
Gary? Full PPR? Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I'd do Keyshawn Vaughn. I mean, I like Keyshawn Vaughn more than probably consensus, but I mean, he's a tough start. You've got to really be set. I mean, more power. You're stronger than I am, Britt. I will say that. I think I'd still go Boyd here. I think I'd play that Cincinnati game and hope that game just kind of gets out of hand. I know that was actually a game that a lot of people are like when I was taking all these Bengals and like best ball, like, yeah, week 17, if you're going for a championship or you need points, I mean, that KC matchup's going to be tough. I don't think it's going to be that. I mean, it's going to be tough, but I think there's going to be more scoring in that game than Dallas, Arizona, if I can be honest. I think that game's going to be the more prevalent shootout than that game. So give me Tyler Boyd. This is a Tyler Boyd show. The calm before the Boyd. Let's go.
Fantastic.
I
am just gonna make this difficult. Say Boston also. So Kevin, that's one locked in. I'm gonna go with Gore. I have talked myself into Gore in so many places. The only reason I'm pivoting away is because I don't want to take the downside of it. But Vaughn is in a timeshare, and Jonathan Williams, we have known what he's doing. Darius going against the Pats. Gore, when he's had the chance, he's double digits when they're giving him the touches. He's going to get the touches. The fact that they activated Jarrett McKinnon, I don't think he's not a Jet anymore. He's just kind of the slow moving minivan now. I'm going to go with Derek Gore. I would rather have pieces of that offense than I would, can't say than Tampa Bay, but I think it's going to be competitive. And I think they're going to keep using Gore to keep Darrell Williams also fresh. And Derek Gore's 3 for 61 last week in the passing game. The dude, he's good. He's like a mini CH. He actually looks like a mini one.
He's a Cuse guy, by the way, too. So I mean, you gotta play that. Yeah, went to high school across the street from where I live. So, yeah, there you go. Bada bing, bada boom. Don't know if I'd have the stones to play him, but I respect the play. I'll say that.
Sorry to help with nothing, Kevin.
I think Kevin's right that Boyd is definitely the floor play, right? If you know that you need some points, go there because at minimum he'll have like 3 for 27. But
yeah. Again, it's all about context.
Yeah.
But he's shown more ceiling the last few weeks than he has any right to have.
Plays, like terribly defended plays.
It's not even that, but the fact that he's running deeper routes and running more of an ADOT. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm biased because I'm going against Boyd. So
okay, I'm pivoting. I'm going Boyd.
Okay, yeah. So ditch Vaughn. I actually just switched from starting Vaughn in the league to starting Gore. So
the tilt is so real. Like we need to stop tilting. This is how you lose championships. Just leave it alone. Stop tinkering.
Or if I started Keyshawn Vaughn. This is going to be a conversation.
Whoever Tyler Boyd's agent is.
Pull the receipts of last night where you said, "Yeah, start Vaughn over Connor," and I was like, "Okay, that's what I was thinking." And now you're just like shitting all over it.
Start Vaughn over Connor. I don't think Connor should be. Connor shouldn't be playing. He's only active in case of emergencies. It's going to be
whoever Tyler Boyd's agent is. Hit me up. Hit us up.
Start promo.
That's right. Chris Rhyme, start Mitchell or go with Burkhead. I think you got to go with Mitchell here.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Chargers are literally the only reason they're not the worst rush defense in the NFL is because they weren't the worst at the beginning of the season. They are terrible. So like Burkhead putting up the 149 and 2 is, I don't know, mirage.
They are a run funnel. So yeah. Good friend Daryl, Happy New Year, my friend. PPR Flex, Van Jefferson, Jordan Howard, AJ Dillon, Lazard, Foreman, or Palmer. Pick one out of this menagerie of guys here.
Are we all going to agree, AJ Dillon?
No,
that's who I'm going for. I think with the weather and the game script, I think Dillon and Jones are both going to be viable this week. So. That's who I'm going for.
Kevin?
For me, it's between Van Jefferson and Josh Palmer. I think I might go. Oh, geez.
What about Josh Palmer is so enticing here? Like there are
opportunity.
Starting, but he did okay without Big Mike and Guyton last week. I'm still going Van Jefferson here.
in that matchup against Baltimore, I would still go with Jefferson here. I think Stafford has a get right game. I think that game is pretty competitive throughout. I think the Rams still win, but I like Van Jefferson here. I mean, I don't think anybody can contain Cooper Kupp. I think Jefferson and Beckham are kind of coin flippy as far as who's going to produce outside of Kupp. I still think Van Jefferson has a pretty decent floor. He's going to be out there on every snap, on every route, virtually. So I think I would do Van Jefferson here. I get the Dillon play. Trust me, I get the Dillon play. I just don't know if it's
run for Jefferson is just so concerning.
I get it. It's just the fact that he is. I mean, he's running he's the third guy. He is the. I don't want to say he's Jalen Guyton because that's not fair for him, but he's produced a lot more than that number would suggest. But we're dealing with a not slam dunk group of guys here too. So I mean, I would Foreman not touching. Lazard has been better, but I'm not going to trust a lot of passing game options there. Howard, right? Well, and the whole cold weather, they don't really need to do that against Minnesota. So it'd be Jefferson or Palmer, and Palmer's has produced. I do like him. I would probably go Jefferson over all those guys though.
So 2 Dillons and a very not confident Jefferson or Palmer, and I would start Guyton over Palmer personally.
Moderate confidence.
Okay.
I'm trying to frame this here, Gary. God damn it. PPR need one: Swift, Penny, or Damian Harris.
You have to have a really good roster that you are only picking one of those.
That's amazing. I'm going Swift. Penny is a close second, but Swift has that pass catching upside. So for PPR, that's kind of what edges it out for me. With Damian Harris, I think that he's going to split with Ramondre, especially with the game script. I know I keep talking game script, but it's a real thing. We have 3 games we have 3 games like where teams are favored like 15 points, Detroit keeps wanting to be competitive. Seattle's bad against the run. I mean, I love it. I'm going Swift for sure. And not just to talk myself into it because I am starting Swift.
I think I'm going Penny here. Penny really hasn't been that involved in the passing game, but I just think that he can get just monster volume, and he's been on a really good run as pretty much the only game in town for Seattle. Russell Wilson hasn't been that great. Getting the ball to his guys, I think we know Pete Carroll loves to chomp that fruit stripe gum and establish the run. So Penny season's here. This is like league winner Rashad Penny, parlay that into a new contract, Rashad Penny. So he's definitely worth the play today, especially going up against Detroit, where that game could be like one of those 13-7 games, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I do like Penny the most. I would still go with Damian just because they're going against the Jags and they're just going to run into the ground. And we know what I think that Damian's going to get 80 to 90, maybe even over 100. Actually, I forgot that he has 5-6 on the season, and he'll probably get 2 touchdowns. Ramondre's there, but whatever. I still think that it's going to be Damian. I think that this is going to be a Russell Wilson explosion game. I think that DK and Lockett can easily both have 2 touchdowns. And then Swift, they say they're going to unleash him and all that stuff, but
he shouldn't even be playing, first of all.
Yeah, it terrifies me, and I don't know. I am starting each of these guys across different leagues, and I like all of them. I genuinely wish you could start 2 or 3 of them, but Damian is the safest.
It's like the Detroit Lions ghost ship is headed directly for an iceberg, and you can't turn it away. But at the last second, you bring the captain up to attempt it for no reason but just to do it. That's pretty much where you're at with DeAndre Swift. So
spot on.
That terrible analogy is brought to you by Tyler Boyd.
Damn it.
We're through the looking glass here, people. See, defense, Saints or Bears. We're a ghost ship right now, heading to the 12 o'clock hour for the early games. Saints or Bears for defense, and that's a tough decision. Because the Saints, when they're on, are awesome. They are facing Carolina, who run the Spurrier system of if they have two quarterbacks, they have none. And then, but I mean, Sam Darnold is pretty much a none right now as far as a quarterback. I think it'd still go the Bears, but both are good plays today.
Yeah, the Bears got Akeem Hicks back, so I think it's going to be Sack City. Yeah, Bears.
Bears. I don't know what Aaron Harper is. I'm going to guess that is a inside joke.
No, it's not an inside joke. I just had to say it because there's a guy in our league who's like been in the championship 4 times. And he's never won it, and none of us want him to win it. And I wanted to try and get this trending on Twitter, but I don't have a big follower base, so I just wanted to say #never Aaron Harper.
So he's Buffalo Bills, basically.
Yeah, totally. And yes, it's probably an inside joke because only Kevin has any clue what I'm talking about, but I don't care. It needed to be said. And actually, you guys can't see it because you put our names as Gary Haddow and then like the actual digital, I can't think what the word is right now that you did for our names, but I entered the studio as @Haddow27 #never Aaron Harper.
Wow, good to know.
Moving on.
All right. Moving on. Kicker question: Nick Folk, Harrison Butker, or Mason Crosby for kicker? Nick Folk's been the top kicker in fantasy. Don't really see that much changing. They're all going up against Jacksonville. If they don't get in the end zone, they're not exactly the most efficient offense. I like Folk to at least put up a couple field goals and a couple extra points. Nick Folk. I mean,
yep.
Why fight it?
Yep, I picked him up in the Warrior Bowl actually as my kicker to try to just scoop up those little baby extra points.
You know what the best part about Nick Folk is? Since that people hate that red Q or like the questionable tag. So he hasn't been universally rostered in leagues because of that. People think that he's hurt. I'm not going to touch him. I'd rather have Chase McLaughlin. No, like he is getting the Tom Brady shoulder treatment like that he got in New England where he's always questionable, but always going to play. And it's just that little red Q next to Nick Folk's name just scares people off to no end.
Yep.
It's just we're all trained to that. That's the scarlet letter, if you will.
Yep.
Brought to you by Tyler Boyd, Axel Jansen, Tyler Boyd, or Devontae Parker in standard.
Oh, that one's so tough because Tennessee's secondary is so bad.
Boyd. Yeah.
In standard, yeah. The standard makes it weird. I'm going Parker.
I just don't know if I can trust any Miami option outside of Waddle as far as the passing game. If they can't even get the ball to Gesicki. I mean, Parker's been like the number 2 guy, but I mean that you're banking on a touchdown. You're banking on at least a moderate floor. I understand that.
But in standard,
they're even. It's standard. Yeah, you're right.
Like standard takes away like all those little like dump offs to the slot that Boyd gets, and Parker at least has more upside in the touchdown department and deep ball department. So
all the departments. Well, every single one. Jeez. I think it's a toss up. I still go with Boyd. Boyd. Can't help it. Sorry, it's a running theme. I'm leaning into it. I will cut.
We're going to get our sponsorship.
I will. Hey, if we get it, wheels up. Boyd season is here. I'm going to cut like 14 clips and just patch it all together. It's like the Tyler Boyd pitch.
Boyd.
That-
Like the little
I know it-
seagulls on Finding Nemo. Mine, except it's Boyd.
I know what I'm doing today.
You're watching football and winning a championship. That's what you're doing today.
And also fulfilling sponsorship requirements to Tyler Boyd. That is what we're doing. And somehow we still have viewers, so thank you for that. Bears D or Dolphins D. I think Bears are a slam dunk here. As much as I would like to trust Miami's defense, when they're playing an inferior opponent are awesome. But I don't know if Tennessee really fits the bill of an inferior opponent, though they have played outside of AJ Brown they've been pretty inferior. So I'd still go. That game can be back and forth, probably a little gross for defense. Give me the Bears. That's almost as close to a sure thing as you can get.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I played against Flippin picked him up, but I just got the notification that he picked up the Bears D and dropped the Rams D. And I'm just like, God damn it. I hope that we're wrong.
No.
No, the Bears D is going to be, Mike Glennon, but revenge game. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike Glennon revenge game.
Contract of the ages.
Yes. PPR, Goddard or Everett. I think Goddard is as close to those elite tier tight ends for me. He's right outside. He's kind of picked up the Logan Thomas slack as far as like that next guy. So I'm going to go Dallas Goddard here. If Philadelphia's going to do anything in the passing game, it's between Devonta Smith and Goddard. I think Goddard's probably more of the walk to do anything than Smith, though I think Smith will be at least solid today. So give me Goddard, though Everett is a good play today. I have him. I actually dropped Mike Gesicki for Gerald Everett today in a league.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to use you as a reference, but it was Goddard against the Washington football team that gave the Flinn Sellers household hope that they could win $1 million 2 weeks ago. So Goddard is going to crush them.
It was.
Damn,
well, he's fancy this
so
week.
Disappointing.
He's against them.
Did you just go there?
I did just go there. That was a good one.
Yeah, you like that?
I did.
It's fantasy football, not a Riesling.
Dude, the sound clips that we're gonna have for this one are great. You gotta have a. Did you just go there? Point.
Oh my lord!
Yeah, and
our sponsorships are open, people.
We didn't really talk about the weather, but the Detroit-Seattle game is going to be like messy as hell. Like 93% chance of rain, like low 40s. It's going to be cold, wet, gross. Blech.
Yeah, lots of rain, especially in the East Coast, Washington, Baltimore, the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, New England, Pittsburgh. It's going to be cold. The rain ain't going to really hit there, but Tennessee also going a little bit further south. Yeah, it's that time of year. It's 2022. We're starting it off with a bang here with the weather. So yeah, and then as Britt put in for Minnesota Angry Bay, capital letters, 5 degrees, American style degrees. I just put American style in front of everything. I don't know why. I do that with Aaron all the time. Like she's like, what? I just puts a number. I'm like American. I'm like, yeah, sure. Shut up, Kevin. Doug from Twitter again. Doug from Maniac. I hope I'm saying your last name right though. Dawson Knox or Foster Moreau. Looks like 1.5 PPR for that. So Moreau or Dawson Knox. Might lean Moreau here.
Yep. I'm Moreau. Where the Colts defense is, they have been good against the pass. The one position that they haven't been efficient in stopping is the tight end. And if they're going to get anything going, I mean, it's going to be through the air, and the tight end is going to be the only place where they can get it done. So The Isle of Foster Moreau, fire it up, baby.
Yep. They're going to have the same amount of points. It's going to be equal. One's going to have a touchdown and one's going to have these catches, and they're going to end up being like 14 and 14.
Probably.
Yeah, but is Foster Moreau Derek Carr's roommate?
Is he?
I don't know, but I don't think so. But I don't think it matters. I would still go with Moreau. I don't think that's Knox is pretty touchdown dependent. He has been like their almost number 2 target with Beasley and Sanders banged up, but Sanders ain't playing. Beasley's there. Gabriel Davis has been the touchdown guy there. So I don't know if he gets lost in the shuffle, but I still think he's got a lot more hurdles to get over before he can really get consistent work. So that's why I would still go with Moreau here. I mean, you really only have to clear the Renfro hurdle to do something. Everybody else is, I mean, Zay Jones is like huge A-dot, like a 20-yard A-dot almost every game in the last like 4 or 5 games. So yeah. Let's go over to for DFS stack. Lance, or I'm assuming it's Kittle, not
Should
Little.
Be Kittle.
It is Kittle. Huntley, Andrews, Taysom, Kamara, Hurts, Goddard. I'm going to lead to Britt because I don't have the prices in front of me for DFS. So I'm going to assume that Lance is chalk as hell. Kittle's probably low owned. Huntley, Andrews is probably sticking out for me.
I like the Huntley Andrews, honestly. I think if you combine the salaries of the Lance Kittle and Huntley Andrews, it kind of evens out. And I think that there's more upside with Huntley Andrews. So that's who I'm leaning towards.
Yeah.
Kittle. So the Huntley Andrews is 13,000 and the Kittle Lance is 11,900. So I mean, you save $1,000. So but I'm going to go with Huntley and Andrews also. I have a Lance Kittle done, and I'm actually doing a Huntley Adams on my phone.
I'm slightly worried a little bit about Kittle and how much they're going to need him to block. Probably more than he typically does today without Garoppolo, with Lance being in there and, wanting to get that edge. And, because they've shown when Lance is in there that they will design runs for him and let him do his thing. So I worry about that a little bit, where his route percentage might come down. I mean, bottom line, Kittle's awesome and, start him no matter what. But I mean, that's just something to think about too, where, Andrews has just been on the heater of heaters the last month. Yeah. So, and it really does not matter the quarterback between Josh Johnson, Huntley, and Lamar. So I think you just have to roll Andrews. I mean, and take that, even if there is a price disparity there, I could just have to kind of roll with that. And, DFS, you want your production. You can always fit guys in for that. So
YOLO.
But we are not playing Drew Lock. That's not happening.
Nope.
I think I want to go Gabe over DJ Moore. Lattimore terrifies me.
Already.
You changed your mind again?
I did. I forgot that Gabe Davis was on. I know, but if Gabe wasn't on COVID, I'd be putting him in. But because he's coming off COVID, I don't want to get stuck in a Tyreek situation.
Yeah.
Moving on.
That's true.
All right. Need an opinion from Sean Moore, and I have one flex spot left. Who should I start? Gallup, Pollard, or Dare Ogunbowale?
It's just so fun to say Ogunbowale.
It's not as fun to play him, but it's fun to say his name.
Yeah. I mean, if it's PPR, I guess Gallup. But
yeah, that's where I'm at.
I don't feel great about any of these, to be honest.
Pollard's really good as like that guy that if you don't have a good matchup to play and you're not feeling any of the other guys, that you can probably stick Pollard in there and be all right. At least have a baseline because he's going to be involved at some form or fashion in that offense. But as like and then you have him for that contingent value where something happens to Zeke, it's great. But Gallup is still in that mix as far as those 3 wide receivers. He's running close to equal amounts of routes as Lamb and Cooper. Obviously has not been productive as those two when all 3 have been in the lineup, but Gallup does have that ability to have that day. So, yeah, I would still go with that offense, with that potential in that offense against the Cardinals in the second highest over under. Hi, Ewan, by the way. Hey, buddy. I would still go Gallup.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then
Hi.
hola. And then we'll grab our last question here. What three are y'all taking between AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, Deontay, and Cooks, and then also Pollard or Boston Scott? I think with the questions we've had today, at least the last question, I think Boston Scott's firmly in there for all three of us.
Yep.
So what three are we taking between AJ Brown, JJ, Deontay, and Cooks? See, we had a Justin Jefferson question earlier, and it was really between, if you have a good enough option to put in front of JJ, that I would sit him. I think these three fall into that. So I would still play Brown, Deontay, Cooks, and I would bench JJ, as tough as it is. Not financial advice, but I would still bench Justin Jefferson today, and that's really wild to say. Not gonna lie,
it's hurtful. It hurts, but I'm in total agreement.
Agreed, and Scott, and go with Boston, of course.
Yep.
Yeah. All righty. Well, we'll do a little Tyler Boyd calm before the Boyd overtime here today. But if you have questions, certainly send them on over to us at Twitter at KTompkinsII, at Haddow27, at Britt_Flinn. We will be back on Wednesday for our lightning round and for our fantasy awards. That's right. We'll be giving away some awards to the best and brightest. I had actually, hold on.
Gonna be dressed to the nines.
We're giving these bad boys away.
You actually got awards. Trophies. I love it.
I got a truck full of them, man. They're in my backyard. No, Aaron got this for me for Christmas. It's a Dundee. It's a Funko Dundee.
I love it.
It's my award for the whitest sneakers award. So, I earned it this year. I had a good year. So, So, like I said, if you have any questions, at KTompkinsII, at Haddow27, at Britt_Flinn, send them on over to us. You've got 20 minutes before you've got 40 minutes. I can't talk before the early slate locks up. And we are watching Red Zone in a collective unison and sweating every single play, every single decision that we just told you to make.
And texting everybody, even though we're all watching the exact same damn feed.
Yep. In all caps and OMFGs and all the things.
And usually one person has a different game on and they're actually seeing it a little bit faster. And then it's like, wait, what? Oh my God, I just saw it.
Yep.
I will intently I think I will have Red Zone in the corner, but I will be watching the Chiefs and Bengals. That is the one game I want to watch that game.
Because
that would be fun.
Love the Bengals. You would marry the Bengals if you could.
Well, it's also in It's also in our contract, Gary.
You love all of them.
I can't help it. You know what? That's gonna win money, baby.
It's my AFC team. I gotta go for it.
I love it.
Okay, I love it. That's right. Casey in Cincinnati. I mean, my Tyreek Hills, my Travis Kelce's, my Mahomes, and then the next Mahomes, Patrick or Joe Burrow. Let's go. What up? Number 9.
Right, I will say for sure, I need this game to be the highest scoring game of the entire day because I have Joe Burrow and T. Higgins, and then I have Travis Kelce. So I just need this game to be like an onslaught of points.
Yes,
let's
all
go.
The Derek Gore.
Yes. Oh, actually, I have Darrell Williams, so no.
Yeah.
Yes, I have the mentor. We have the mentor going, so we need him.
Yeah.
So, all right, we are heading out here. Like I said, send us the questions on Twitter. I'm not going to go through the Twitter thing again. I sound like an auctioneer right now, but make sure you check us out on Lightning Round on Wednesdays, and we will be back on Wednesday. Find us on Twitter. Ask us questions. Good luck in your week 17 championship. I had to realize what week we're in, by the way. I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to put it up on the screen.